Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And one of the biggest controversies so far here in the CDL has been the aim assist glitch that a lot of pros are using to get free information through walls in the game right now. A lot of people are very surprised the pros haven't done more to deal with this. What potentially might they do about it over the coming days? And which pros seem to be ploughing ahead regardless. Very much intrigued to get your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. As with the YouTube algorithm, let's just dive straight into things. Firstly, this from Clayster. Like he's just watching the arrows right here on the minimap on Tuscan, trying to think, okay, what exactly is going on here? We've got a B control point. They're trying to figure out how to deal with it. We've got player number 2. He's made it all the way to the back here. So seemingly player number 2 and the guy, the blue arrows here are the attackers, right? Because player number 2's made it to the back tank, and the green guys are trying to push out into the spawn to stop these guys actually making a run. Now, of course, given the blue guys are kind of the attackers here, you would think that they'd be spawning back here somewhere, like quite a long way away. However, look at this. Number 3 spawns right onto number 6, down here in like kind of the low well or what I think there's like a well there or something. Like I've never seen that spawn ever really. I'm not really sure where they think he should even spawn. I guess he could have spawned back here or like back here somewhere. But I guess the squad spawns kind of meant that okay, they wanted to spawn him near the rest of his team. So number 3 spawns right behind number 6 and just runs into this bottom building and thinks okay, yeah, fair enough. We'll take that one for free. So yeah, crazy spawn really. Not sure we really ever see this in Control usually where the offense can spawn this far up the map, especially when there's a guy standing right on top of him. So yeah, that's what I haven't seen before, says JP as a kind of result of this. And also speaking of Control, as CJ says, Control can't be taken seriously, round 5 being decided by kills. This was a question that Scump raised a couple of days ago, and it does raise some interesting concerns really. Clayster says a similar thing to what Scump says, glorify TDM. I think the last 20 Controls I've played, it's got to round 5, and I've had offense. Of course, look, as we've seen so far, offense actually is more achievable in this game than defense has been so far, but it also feels like last year, over time, teams that have found out a way to win offense, and they also made it so that offense round 5, defense round 5 was determined by who had the most ticks captured, got defense in the final round, theoretically an advantage. But over the course of last year, people figured out how to do offense better, whereas maybe over the course of this year, people are just going to figure out how to play for kills better, right? That's kind of the thing that we've seen so far. I think maybe the trend in Control right now is teams starting to get very adept to just playing for the kills they need to try and get defense round 5, which means some very boring offenses where people just camp in their spawn if they think they're going to get defense based on the kills they currently have, which obviously does create a bit of a concern. So definitely some fixes to be made on that front. Obviously, we're expecting some things to happen over the coming weeks on this front. Maybe Sledgehammer can deliver the goods to improve Control. This also from the reverse sweep a couple of days ago was a nice little clip where the X kind of said, like, it's going to be terrifying when Simp finally gets going because, well, so far, Simp has obviously been kind of underperforming. We expect at some point he's going to turn it around. When he does, like, FaZe, of course, get even scarier than they already are. They're already 3-0, sitting here pretty much at the top of the league standings as it is right now. As I said, this time last year, they went on an 11-0 run at the start of the season before they finally lost to Los Angeles Guerrillas, which is still pretty crazy to me, to be honest. But as Simp says, me trying to figure out the Vanguard map right now. So he's not particularly comfortable, it seems, Simp, with his personal play and his personal situation they find themselves in. But still, the rest of the team seem to be getting somewhat comfortable. Of course, well, FaZe starting out 3-0 with them, well, some good advantages to take into this final week of qualification games. This also one to the scrims noticed last night, Boston versus the Minnesota Rokkr. Was some talk also on that reverse sweep about, okay, do Rokkr need some sort of role change, right? Because Attach has always kind of been the slower player. Priestahh's now sitting there in kind of that third flex type position. Like, Priestahh really hasn't been the player that he was back in Black Ops 4. Even before that, I remember Priestahh in like Infinite Warfare on Cloud9. Like, this guy was a monster. Like, I think he was a really underrated player. Like, he made Champs Grand Finals a couple of times. I think there's also when he was on the FaZe Clan roster, right, in World War II, like, was such a great player on that team. But the last 2 years or so, really hasn't been like anywhere near that form, I suppose. I guess he was on FaZe, right, when he was in the World Championship Grand Finals in Modern Warfare. But since then, things haven't really gone his way. And he doesn't seem to be quite the player he was statistically. So some have been suggesting, okay, do Rokkr need kind of a role change? But I agree with what they said really on the episode, that Rokkr have just a very high floor. Like, they're never going to be awful, it seems, but they just don't seem to have the ability to really just dominate a top roster, right? And it feels like that's probably what's going to hold them back over time. But yeah, this one goes 4-2. Both Controls go to round 5, and maybe this is kind of what sparked TJ on the Boston side to say, we went to round 5 both times, keep getting offenses. It's a pretty difficult time at when exactly that happens. Let's dive into this then, right? Because a big controversy really in the first 2 weeks of qualification games has been the aim assist glitches that a lot of players seem to be using at the present time. There's of course one name that comes to the top of the list because I've seen probably maybe 2 or 3 clips of him using it right now. That of course is Cellium. This was the initial one that came up from Clayster back on the 5th of February, and a lot of people said, okay, look, after this went through, surely they're going to do something about it, right? Surely the pros are going to try something to make sure this doesn't happen again. This is it's not perfectly centralized, but you guys kind of get the picture here. Clayster even actually was the one that clipped this, as you can see at the top right. Lolly says, and I mean, look, this is Cellium here on Desert Siege, one of the first games they played of the season up against the Paris Legion. And again, Cellium was going back and forth. This kind of the clip that we've seen so far. He gets a slight tug of aim assist through this train. He realizes the fellow's here, calls out to his teammate aBeZy to nade it, and the nades come over from Cellium and aBeZy. Fellow dies, and you could most certainly argue, okay, wow, this is pretty insane. Now, Decimate was using the same thing through this wall. Apparently, this is a major issue really on Desert Siege. Like, Desert Siege seems to be the key map where this can be a problem, like over these trains over here as well as also the doors. Now, the problem is that, yes, it's very blatant when guys like Cellium and also guys like Temp in this clip are trying to abuse something like this, but I'm pretty sure you can also get it kind of intentionally without it being very obvious with the back and forth. Like, I think if you're just standing there, even if you're just aiming down sights, but instead of moving your aim left and right, you're just moving your body left and right and you're strafing back and forth, you'll still kind of get that aim assist tug. And in that case, it's kind of impossible to say, okay, wow, that was really blatant. So what really do the pros do about this, right? That is kind of the concern. Temp's been using it. We know that Cellium's been using it. There was another clip that came out this weekend of Cellium using it on Bocage. He was looking through some trees. Like, this is a classic Cellium spot, really. Just trying to get some aim assist through there to get some information. Like, Zuma, well, readily admits, okay, X's are going to really like this one. Again, abusing this bug to get information you shouldn't be getting. Very arguably, it's cheating. But, and he's surprised that the pros haven't really done anything about it. But realistically, what can they actually do to stop this?
You've got both streets covered. Like, it's a wrap. Like, you have to cross. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's so hard to break. People have a good strat to force people if you're gonna rotate through tunnel. Like, it's just you just have to cross like 3 lanes to break it. It's really hard.
Yeah, I know Pat's not liking that. I know Pat's not liking that at all. Which I'm still surprised that the pros haven't like talked about this yet and like maybe try to enforce something there when it comes to these like little squiggle through the wall things. But I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening with that stuff.
So Eggs, as he says, it's got to go, and even Temp says in reply, right, first time trying out, I lost absolute full. So of course, look, some players have been using it. We saw another clip from Cellium in that clip right there of him trying to give it a go on certain maps, so it's not just Desert Siege where it's possible. Temp's tried to use it here on Tuscan, didn't really work out for him. Cellium, of course, trying to use it on Bocage as well, so not really sure what the pros can do. Eggs' suggestion was, okay, could the CDL just straight up say, look, if you're using this intentionally, like, we're just going to forfeit you. The problem with that is, as I say, there can be other ways to get this which aren't, well, exactly sure that it can be intentional. Like, yes, if you're standing there swiping back and forth on something that maybe you can get aim assist through, then that's pretty obvious. But if you do it in a different way, then you can't necessarily deal with it. So still, I'm surprised the pros haven't come together really between themselves behind the scenes and said, look, can we just GA this, right? Can we please stop doing this? I'm sure they probably said the same thing with snaking. That didn't really work out for them. So maybe there's not too much they can do. But frankly, I think it is surprising we haven't really seen more from the pros on exactly how they might potentially try and deal with this. Also wanted to talk about this real quick because there was another clip that came out in that same episode of The Flank where they talked about Casablanca. This is the Casablanca map, and honestly, looking at it on the surface, looks pretty good. But and as it turns out, there's a lot of elevation on this map, and just for hardpoint, it doesn't really seem like it's particularly viable. Now, for control, maybe that's the case. Search and destroy also could potentially work, but Kenny talks about it right here, the fact that right now, you can pretty much get seen from every single window on the map. So in hardpoint, doesn't really seem so viable. Maybe in control it can work. Search and destroy, hopefully it'll be an option. We certainly need more maps in the game. Hopefully Casablanca is better than what we currently have on offer.
Maps. What about Casablanca? You guys gonna start scrimming that? Is that gonna be?
We try.
Is it ass? Is it ass? Be honest.
It's a no-go. It's a
Oh,
there's just too many top mid windows, and like if you the P1 on that map is actually way worse than Bocage P1, which I didn't think was possible. When you're on Bocage P1, you feel like the whole world is against you and all the eyes are on you. You can get seen from anywhere, but on that map, you actually can get seen from everywhere.
On Casablanca, you spawn pretty much on P1.
Oh yeah, one team.
You know what I'm saying?
On the hill,
you spawn right there. Like you're 5 feet away from me. It made no sense. I don't know. I was playing the map because we were running through it, just playing some sub aces around, and it was definitely a little weird. It was definitely a little iffy.
One thing I would definitely want to try, talk to my teammates about it. Maybe, I don't know, because like S&D is always like that map seems like a pick map where like S&D, like there's so many windows that it seems good in my head, but like obviously we should try it out. But it's also kind of weird to have one map just be S&D only. It's like, oh, you only play it on S&D only. That's just kind of weird. But
we've had maps like that, like Express, right? Like Express last year, we've had it like that.
100 from BO3, the one with the river.
Yeah, we've had some maps that are just S&D. I feel we gotta add some more control maps though. I hate just 2
some more control maps.
That was our first statement after the match. Yeah, we need more control maps.
A couple of things just to finish out the video here. Firstly, from Challenger's side, like it does surprise me to some degree that the Challengers in general doesn't seem seem to be particularly well promoted. I don't really always know when it's on, who's playing, like, you know, what time it's going through. Like, they did a tweet on this last night, the CDL. Okay, like, it's week 3, day 1 or whatever. But, I don't know, like, obviously it runs alongside the CDL, like the regular matches. But I feel like they could do a generally better job of promoting this, just because I thought this was kind of interesting. There's Jake, like you point out, because right now there's the collegiate COD leagues going on, right? And they actually do better in terms of viewership, way better than the regular CDL Challengers does. Which, as Clay even says, I do need to finish my bachelor's degree, because there's some players, right, who have actually gone back. I think the likes of Silly has gone back to college to study there, but also get a scholarship to play Call of Duty on the pro team, which some people aren't really happy about, right? Because he's a pro, he's a world champion, right? Going back to college and taking what you could argue is someone else's spot that they might deserve to do the same thing, but of course you can't really blame the guys taking advantage of the opportunity. This was noticed by Link Dull here on the Reddit yesterday. There's the college COD stream had 10,000 viewers. Now, of course, I think this is inflated to some degree. Often it gets on the homepage. Like, you can kind of look at the chat, how quick the chat goes compared to the viewership, and kind of figure out, okay, how things going. But, you know, this does really well. And it's going on pretty much parallel to the regular challenges, right? And this only had 600 views on YouTube, which just does raise the question, right? Probably the 10,000 views is inflated to some degree, but still seems to be doing way better than the regular Challengers Elite playoffs, right? Which, I don't know, CTL's killing it. That's a great takeaway that we can have. But maybe it's making the CDL think, okay, maybe this actually is the future, right? The collegiate stuff, which seems to be doing really well at the moment, which is, of course, exciting for the future. And just to mention, this is where we finish things off, because Mr. Beast, he's got some video idea in the works, and was asking for, you know, video production, kind of production company to come into effect. And Anima Priscilla, of course, of Esports Engine, now working with the CDL, comes in the reply. Hopefully, Mr. Beast reads the replies, drops a DM to Adam, and we get to see exactly how that would transpire in a video. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit a like button, tells the YouTube gods this is a good video, and I was like you should see it as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always, take care, and I will see you next time.
I don't feel so good. I'm one shot.
When just wrap back to B. Alright, I'm inside B. I can find it. What do you guys on my outer?
I got you out.
The door's open down here. Frost down there. Saw it. I'm not sure where he went. I couldn't see because of the wall.
Outer, one shot. Hit him with the nade. Oh, I shot a sniper.
You got bomb down? Yeah, bomb's down for you guys. Nice.
Got the guy there.
I got this. Take your time.
He in my front way. I think he pushed. Yeah, I got him.
Nice, give me two.
Sniper ducks. Yo, middle P5. And a bomb.
Broken.
Nice. Last guy's in flanky.
Glide bomb, ready for target.
Glide to you.
What time you win?
You're so good.
I don't know why you're with daddy.